Welcome in 49ers faithful, Drew Kerr, 49ers Sports Talk. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about who the experts are picking to go to the 49ers in their respective first round picks. From Mel Kiper to Peter Schrager, I've got you covered. Okay, so I'm going to be starting this out with Brendan Donahue. He works at the Huddle Report, and he's been labeled as the most accurate mock draft analyst that there is. So his first pick, or his most recent pick, was actually a trade back. He has the Niners trading back, and they're doing it with the Raiders, and the Raiders wound up selecting Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. So I had to revert back to his previous pick just to give you guys something, pick to the Niners. His pick was cornerback Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Look at some of his accolades. He was first team all ACC. He led the team with 9 pass breakups, 2 picks, and one of those was a pick 6 in the 2023 season. So at the very end of this video, I'm going to insert a clip of a very iconic draft moment, a little bit of a sideshow. So at the very end of these few analysts that I go through their picks with, I will be inserting a pretty humorous, I found it humorous and entertaining, I believe you guys will as well, a clip that involves Mel Kiper. So with that said, I'm just going to get into Mel Kiper's pick. He has, though, you got to take what Mel Kiper says with a boulder of salt. He's said that Jimmy Clausen was the next coming of Joe Montana, and he's also labeled Patrick Mahomes as a bust. So, and none of these guys get it right, but Mel Kiper just pounds the table, and he is very, he's not shy about his opinion. So, that said, the selection that he has going to the Niners with pick 31 here is Roger Rosengarten, and I know a lot of other people have this tackle from Washington going to the Niners, so this isn't too far out of the realm of possibility. Some of his accolades are honorable mention, all Pac-12 in 2023. He won the Joe Moore Award given to the nation's top offensive lineman, and he started all 15 games at right tackle for University of Washington in 2023. This is also of note. It's also notable. Former Niners Pro Bowl tackle Joe Staley has been helping prepare Rosengarten and others at Washington. So something to look out for. I don't think this one's that far out of the realm of possibility. John Lynch was at their pro day, so it could happen. That said, it is Mel Kiper, so, we'll see. Okay, moving on to Todd McShay, who is sort of the Robin to Mel Kiper's Batman. They kind of always go back and forth, and I think adding Todd McShay to kind of chill Mel Kiper out a little bit years back was probably a good idea. They kind of just argue like a bitter old married couple, but that's neither here nor there. Jumping into the pick, Todd McShay's selection is a tackle, possibly a guard, and he comes out of Arizona, Jordan Morgan. Some of his accolades: he was a first-team All Pac-12 in 2023. He started all 12 games at left tackle, and he started a total of 43 games in 5 years with Arizona. Okay, moving on to Peter Schrager, who is with the NFL. He works for the NFL. He's featured on Good Morning Football, but he does a lot of mock drafts. He does a lot of predictions. He's good at some of them not so good, but here he has the selection as Ladd McConkey. I find that one a little bit tough. Ladd had 2 touchdowns. He was a little bit more pivotal the year before in Georgia's national championship run. So, and here's some of his accolades. In 2021, he made the all-freshman, all-SEC team. He had 7 starts as a freshman. In 2022, he made the second team all-SEC. He led the team with 7 receiving touchdowns for the national champs. And last year, he won the Warfel Trophy for community service. So, he does, get in his community. He does a lot of, philanthropy type stuff. So, it's good to have that kind of guy in the locker room. I wouldn't hate this pick, but I wouldn't love it either. He did battle injuries last season, both with his back and his ankle, and he missed the last 3 games of the season. Moving on down the list, we have Lance Zierlein. His selection is Darius Robinson, defensive lineman from Mizzou. And I don't think this one is that far-fetched. The 49ers have been sort of notorious for drafting defensive line in the first round since Kyle Shanahan got to San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Darius Robinson coming out of Mizzou, He started 10 games in 2022 with 5.5 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks. 2023, he made the All-SEC team, or he was all SEC. He led the team with 14 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, started 12 games, and was a team captain. And last but not least, Charles Davis. His selection was Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. Some of Guyton's accolades was he transferred from TCU, where he played some offensive tackle, but he actually played a game at H-back, which was interesting. I think that kind of speaks to his level of athleticism. Honorable mention, all Big 12 conference, 9 starts at right tackle. He did miss some time with injury as well. And real quick, just my last mock drafts, I'll just throw them in. I'm not, by any metric an expert, but I don't really think that the experts are experts. It's all just a guessing game. That's why they all have different picks. They're not saying the same exact thing at pick 31. So anyway, I did have the same pick in my initial mock draft with Tyler Guyton, same as Charles Davis, but I've cooled off a little bit on that pick, and my mock 2.0 did have Xavier Worthy, a wide receiver out of Texas that broke the combine 40-time record with 4.21. I have seen some people refute it and talk bad about it. They said, he's Tutu Atwell's size, and Tutu Atwell's 10, 15 pounds lighter than him. I think his comp's more close to Devontae Smith with the Eagles. I just felt justified in the pick because I think for a while now, Kyle Shanahan and those guys have been trying to get a piece to stretch the field, to put in the slot and run fly routes and just take the top off the defense. If you're going to do it, why not do it with a guy who has track star speed? I think that that's not, it'll open everything up for the Yak brothers underneath. It isn't a very likely selection. I would be actually shocked if the Niners took Xavier Worthy with the 31st pick. I mean, if they traded back into the second and racked up a bunch more picks, I think maybe they could pull the trigger there. So picking him at 31, probably not likely. I would love the pick, just simply for the fact that it would just add another chess piece to Kyle Shanahan's board that he can move around the field and make people have to go, oh man, I gotta take care of that guy. So anyhow, some of his, he also does have, I want to throw this in too, he does have punt and kick return ability, and he is a home run type player with that. He does have a punt return for a touchdown in his career. So second team All-American as a punt returner, first team All Big 12 at wide receiver and a punt return specialist. In the Red River rival game versus OU, he had 8 passes for 108 yards. So he does, he shows up in big games. 26 career touchdowns, more than Devontae Smith had at this point in their respective college careers in their junior year. So he production-wise, at the same point in his career, he had more than Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman, who is now a featured piece of the Eagles offense. And so, there was that. He did have a punt return for a touchdown, like I said, and he had a career average of 14.1 per punt return. In 2023, he had an average of 16.9. So as promised, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stick this clip in of the 1994 NFL draft. This was the year that the Niners went to the Super Bowl. They brought, Deion Sanders over. So free agency was starting to play a little bit more into all of this. But the reason I want to post this is just to kind of show the level of buffoonery of Mel Kiper. I mean, he's evolved into, I guess, a respected analyst. Some people kind of think he's a joke and everything like that, but he does have a job with ESPN still. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in here because, and a lot of you will remember this clip. Some of you may not have even known about it, so it'll be very interesting and funny for you to watch this piece of draft history. So take a look.
This is the 59th annual selection meeting, as they call it in the NFL. And as the rules change and the brave new world of the salary cap and teams and free agency, perhaps more than ever before, a premium on the 7 rounds of the NFL draft.
I mean, so many things were going on in '94 that really hadn't been seen before. You had underclassmen being drafted in fairly significant numbers. You had free agency begin to have an effect on how teams filled needs. And you had all these mock drafts taking interest in the draft to a greater degree than ever before.
Mel Kiper is doing his, and Dr. Z, Paul Zimmerman is doing his. No matter how many more hours these teams have spent having access to info and medicals and stuff that none of us have, we all think that we can do it as good as they do.
Well, Chris, this is a pick that I had McGinnis going number 4 to New England. And really, I thought it because he is an impact player.
All right, Mel, the Rams now on the board. Let's take a look at yours. Where should they be looking for value?
Well, their position.
Mel Kiper has built a career for himself as the outsider with inside knowledge, the first great armchair GM. He has published his own draft guide every spring since 1981, complete with write-ups on each pro prospect.
I'm always interested to read his book, as long as he sends it free.
By 1994, Kiper and his big board were fixtures of the broadcast. There was little debate as to who would go number 1, but intrigue surrounded the landing spots for Heath Shuler and Trent Dilfer, the top 2 quarterback prospects.
The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. Now they have 2 very high first-round picks, the number 2 pick right now and the number 7 pick overall.
With the second pick in the first round, the Indianapolis Colts select Marshall Faulk, running back, San Diego State.
He's a great back, but I strongly disagree with this pick. And it's not any criticism at all of Marshall Faulk. The Colts have to come out of this draft with a quarterback, and if they don't, they're ripe for some criticism.
Kiper, he had been building up 2 weeks prior to the draft about having to take a quarterback. And I was the opinion that I was running the Colts and not anybody on a network.
Bill Tobin took the future Hall of Famer. He had acquired the Colts' other top 10 pick by trading Jeff George to the Falcons, leaving free agent signee Jim Harbaugh as the only quarterback on the roster. The same Harbaugh that Tobin drafted 8 years earlier as GM of the Chicago Bears.
Walter Payton and Jim Harbaugh, the 2 most competitive players I've ever been around in my life. And he was going to be my quarterback. I wasn't interested in Trent Dilfer and Heath Shuler. We didn't have either one of them in our top 10 players.
With the third pick of the first round, the Washington Redskins select Heath Shuler, quarterback, Tennessee. New England Patriots select Willie McGinnis, linebacker, USC.
Trent Dilfer is falling. Can you believe that?
I don't know what he's saying. Was Santa Claus waiting on him ever this exciting?
I don't know, man. This is amazing, huh?
I get a big kick out of every year. I have that ugly green suit on and a big flock of seagulls hairdo. So that's why I like it being reruns. People actually believe I had hair at one point.
So you are surprised?
Oh, very surprised. Yeah, we thought for sure it would be either Indianapolis, Washington, or L.A.
The next logical choice was the Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts traded up with the Rams, moving from number 7 to number 5. Everyone thought they were moving up to take Dilfer. What followed became the signature moment of the 1994 draft.
The Rams have made a trade with Indianapolis, and Indianapolis has selected Trev Alberts, linebacker from Nebraska.
Well, I mean, Albert's a great player.
Yeah,
There's no question about that, but you got a problem with this move?
I think it's a typical Colt move. I mean, here's a team that needed a franchise quarterback to pass up a Trent Dilfer when all you have is Jim Harbaugh. Give me a break. That's why the Colts are picking second every year in the draft, not battling for the Super Bowl like other clubs in the National Football League.
It was, whoa, Mel, where are you going, babes? You know, mild-mannered Mel, all of a sudden, boom, here he comes.
That's why the Colts are picking second every year in the draft.
You know, Mel was never shy in his opinion, and he wasn't shy in his opinion in this case.
Well, you think about Jim Harbaugh was a solid quarterback, not a great one. And you felt like, okay, can these quarterbacks improve your position? And I thought Trent Dilfer could.
And obviously, general managers don't like to be called out like that by analysts.
So shortly afterward, we kick it down to Indianapolis, where Chris Mortensen is with Bill Tobin.
I knew you'd have one surprise for us today.
Not a surprise to us.
No, that's great. I mean, no, that's what I mean. I'm not, hey. One question, Bill. A lot of criticism about not taking a quarterback here. Your response?
Well, you know, we got a guy up there. Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way? I mean, here's a guy that criticizes everybody, whoever they take. He's got the answers to who you should take and who you shouldn't take. In my knowledge of him, he's never ever put on a jockstrap. He's never been a coach. He's never been a scout. He's never been an administrator. And all of a sudden, he's an expert. He's in our papers 2 days ago telling us who we have to take. we don't have to take anybody that Mel Kiper says we have to take. Mel Kiper has no more credentials to do what he's doing than my neighbor, and my neighbor's a postman, and he doesn't even have season tickets to the NFL.
At that instant, it just became clear that this was reality television of the highest order.
Oh, I think I probably got my Irish up.
Bill Tobin was a hot-headed guy. I love Bill. He said what the entire league thought.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper, in a way?
I know I and probably 27 other general managers congratulated him. It was classic.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper?
Mel Kiper doesn't know any more than my postman.
The thing is, nobody's ever really tracked down Tobin's mailman to find out exactly how much he does. I'd like to know that sometime. It could be that Tobin's mailman knows a lot about football. It might be more of a compliment than any of us realized.
Mel Kiper? Bill Tobin, obviously, not going out to dinner tonight.
Well, Chris, I'll tell you, I'm secure in my position. Obviously, Bill Tobin is not very secure in his position to have a response like that.
I didn't take exception to the comments. Bill Tobin was entitled to his opinion. He was critical of what I said, so be it. I wasn't there to shill for the NFL. I was there to give an opinion, and I've always done that.
To me, it's a mistake. You cannot go with Jim Harbaugh and pass up Trent Dilfer. Forget it. That's why the Colts are the laughingstock of the league year in and year out.
April 24th, 1994, a day that will live in infamy.
Kiper, Tobin, and Tobin's postman became the talk of the draft.
What do you want to cover first, our players or that jerk in Baltimore?
You know, of all the things my whole career, that might be the one that people want to talk about the most.
It was obviously very entertaining for the fans, and it's still being talked about today.
Mel, is probably the single biggest person in terms of why the draft has been popular on ESPN. So we didn't have any problem with it. Controversy is good on television.
And we will win regardless of what Mel Kiper says.
In the aftermath, Jim Harbaugh led the Colts to the AFC Championship game in 1995. Marshall Faulk is in the Hall of Fame. Trev Alberts was out of the league in just 3 years. Bill Tobin was fired in 1997 after the Colts went 3-13.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link both of my mock drafts at the end of this video. Both of them are 7-round all the way through the draft for the 49ers. So, but at any rate, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for making it this far. Please go ahead and like and subscribe if you have not already. I appreciate everybody who has to this point. Thank you. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one, just tune in. Have a good weekend, y'all, and we'll see you next time.